For Tess, the news of her divorce came like a thunderclap. She had lived with her husband Dylan for 12 years, and nothing had foreshadowed trouble. And then, now, he came in and said they were going their separate ways. "What do you mean?" Tess asked her husband in an uncertain voice. "Tess, forgive me, but you and I are quite different people. You're not at all interested in what I do or with whom I spend my spare time. You're like a robot without emotion. You're interested only in the kitchen and cleaning. And then there are your dubious girlfriends. Why did you become friends with the neighbourhood grandmothers? You've been clucking with them all day long. You're 32, not 70. I'm sick of it. I've been thinking for a long time. Understand I didn't make this decision in a day, but I can't go on living with you." "Stop," Tess interrupted, her voice rising. "Are you not confused about anything now? What do you mean, I don't want to do anything? You yourself told me to quit a few years ago, literally gave me an ultimatum. You said your wife should take it easy and run the household. When I asked you to take a florist course, what did you say? Don't waste your time on nonsense. By the way, florist is a good profession. Again, what did you say? I make enough money so you don't have to think about money. How many times have we fought about this? And now it's my fault. You tied me to the house? I had to cut all ties with my old friends because you didn't like them. You want a divorce? Fine, divorce. But don't try to make me the scapegoat for everything now. Admit it. It's because of another woman, isn't it?" "There you go again with your jealousy." The husband's face reddened. "I've told you the reasons. Isn't that enough?" "That's what I thought." Tess grinned bitterly. "So the reason is a mistress." "What makes you think that?" Dylan said angrily. "I understand that you're now trying to smooth things over as much as possible and show that I'm to blame for the breakup of the relationship. You always do that. Well, if our marriage is over now, just admit it." Dylan sighed. "If it makes you feel better, yes, I've fallen in love with another woman. She gives me what you couldn't. You've completely neglected yourself. Do women nowadays always allow themselves to walk around at home in tracksuits with an incomprehensible ponytail on their head? Tell me, when was the last time you wore makeup or had a manicure? You can't even buy yourself a dress. I'm ashamed to take you out in public. I go to corporate parties alone with a living wife. What a shame. My boss always asks me, 'Where's your wife?' I'm sick of lying to him that you're sick or unwell. Nowadays, all women are taking care of themselves. They're shaking money off their husbands for those eyelashes and nails. But you've just given up on yourself, and therefore on me." "Dylan, are you serious now? All right, let me go to the salons and stores all day long, and in the evenings to the gym, like the wives of your bosses. You'll be crying in a week about where the money goes and why the house isn't clean. How am I supposed to scrub the floors with these nails? These wives have cleaners and cooks. Can you afford such a thing? It's only in the movies that a housewife is a well-groomed woman with styling stilettos and a beautiful dress who sips champagne from morning until night. Or do you think the fact that it's just the two of us makes it easier for me? The windows overlook the avenue. At home there's dust, laundry, cleaning, cooking. You come home from work and see everything neat and tidy. And you want a delicious dinner. You can't do that in 5 minutes. When do you think I should go to the salons?" "What do salons have to do with it? You should at least buy yourself a nice suit, some lingerie. I want to see a beautiful wife beside me, not a tortured nag with a floor cloth in her hands." Tess was indignant. "You don't give me enough money, even for the household, after all. Then recently, when I asked you to buy me a new down jacket, what did you say? 'Why so expensive? You walk to the store and back anyway.' Your words. If I asked you for money for a beauty salon, what would you say? 'You're the one who made me stay at home and watch over the family hearth, and now you don't like that.' Okay, maybe it was all wrong. But you understand, Tess, I wasn't looking for her on purpose. It just happened. Yes, you and I have lived together for many years. We've had all sorts of things, but recently, You've become a stranger, and not just in appearance. I'm a human being. I can't get tenderness from you. I also need feeling and warmth, and the opportunity to develop. Who didn't give you this opportunity? The woman boiled up. I have never restricted you in anything at all. And now I see clearly there is also my fault that you drove me into this domestic trap. I shouldn't have listened to you. But anyway, now in gratitude for all these years together, you're just kicking me out now. Thank you, darling. You're leaving me in the lurch. Where do you expect me to go? You have a house. Dylan laughed. A house? Gasped Tess. Do you mean to say that I must now go to the village? And what will I do there? It's up to you to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. You have no rights to this apartment. I bought it before our marriage. You inherited the house after your parents died. Your family nest. And I can't claim it either. You can start a farm, for example. I'll give you money for the first time. I'm not a monster. Are you out of your mind, Dylan? Tess covered her face with her hand. Farm? I don't even know how to run a farm like that. You were born out there. You must have some idea. Dylan grinned. Such a thing stays in the subconscious. You'll quickly get the hang of it. People live in villages and it's normal. Are you completely stupid? Tess didn't even have the strength to be angry. Tess, think and say what you want, but I've already decided everything and there's no turning back. I've given the documents to the lawyer. You don't even have to agree. We have no children, no common property. So they'll divorce quickly, and that's it. Go on a free voyage. Pack your things quietly now. I won't rush you. You have 1 week. I'll leave now so as not to bother you with my presence. Don't call me and beg me to come to my senses. Tell me, Dylan, who is this woman? Tess asked unexpectedly. Why do you need to know? Dylan replied after a moment's hesitation. I just want to understand who broke up my marriage. Probably some 20-year-old girl who lured you with her body and fresh face. No, her husband sighed. Just an ordinary woman. She's my age, even older than you, it turns out. She has a grown son. Tess, you understand, I'm serious. I love her. There are times when a man nears 40 and realizes he's been going the wrong way all his life. I'll be 40 in a year. I still want to be happy. We've been trying to build something for so many years, but didn't you realize and feel that something was going wrong? Yes, you can accuse me now of restricting you, but why didn't you oppose me once? Didn't insist on having your way? Because I loved you, Dylan. How could I argue with your decisions? That's what I mean. You're like modelling clay. Tess, why have you changed so much? When we met, you were like granite. It was impossible to impose your will. And then, what happened? Who would like his wife to walk around like a silent shadow and agree with everything? And besides, we lost our passion, Tess. Can you do without it? Dylan, what passion? How old are we? We have a strong household and trust. Or so I thought. Exactly, you thought. What's the use of a stable life if you can't bear to come home from work? Don't go on, Tess interrupted her husband, realizing she couldn't stand it any more and would cry. I'll pack my things and go to the village. I won't hold you back. After all, I have my pride. Tess lay helplessly on the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. The tears had already dried up. Several hours had passed since Dylan had left. How did this happen? The woman thought. Maybe Dylan is right. When it comes to divorce, you can't blame only one person. But I always tried to make everything good for us. I gave up everything for him. And now what's happening? No baby, no husband. Go, honey. Go to all four corners. I always thought that divorce was preceded by scandals, violent arguments, division of property, claims. But this is how it can be. Quiet and sudden. And he's perhaps right. I'm not sure if I feel deep love for him. Probably these tears are tears of self-pity, nothing more. Yes, it hurts, but it doesn't hurt to be alone. It hurts to realize that everything I've done in the past 10 years is worthless. To start from scratch? In the village? That's nonsense. I can't even grow a tomato. Of course I could learn, but I don't want to. Ever since I was a child, I've wanted to go to the city, to live a different life. I saw my mother and grandmother bending their backs in that damn vegetable garden. I'm grateful they didn't force me. But I couldn't just sit on the sidelines. And afterward I hated that garden with all my heart. Even the smell of the country house makes me sick. Since I left for the city, I've never even been there. Only when my mum died. What am I supposed to see there? Okay, I can try to sell the house, and at least have money for the first time here. But who needs a dilapidated hut in the middle of nowhere? No amount of gingerbread will lure people there. It'll take forever to sell. I don't have a penny. Yes, I could sell some things, jewellery, but that won't last long. Just a couple of months to scrape by. And who'd hire me? I have a 10-year gap in my career. I don't have much experience. If only I could learn to be a florist now and find a job I like. Why didn't I insist on it? Anyway, regretting won't help me. To the village, so be it. I'll get used to it. There's nature, a river, a forest. I could use Dad's plot of land for camping, set up houses, something like a campground. It's popular nowadays. In the summer, organise berry and mushroom tours. And in winter? It's too early to dream of such things. Everything needs money, advertising. Well, I'll have time to think about it. We need to get to the village first and then decide what to do and how to do it on the spot. With these thoughts, Tess fell asleep. Dylan's car kicked up dust and small pebbles as it made its way along a wide dirt road through a wheat field. Tess started frowning, her expression as gloomy as an autumn day. After passing a sign announcing the necessary village, the car turned off the highway onto a country road, leaving the sprouting field behind. In the distance, they saw the river with scattered houses along its banks. A small fishing farm and a sawmill kept the remaining handful of people here. Tess's parents' house was not even on the outskirts, but in a completely isolated area from other houses. Through the shriveled, time-blackened fence, sprawling raspberry bushes were visible, already dotted with berries. Tall lime trees lined the fence, emitting a faint, sweet fragrance that immediately triggered Tess's memories. She literally expected to hear a rooster shriek, her dog barking to announce their arrival, and her mother emerging from the creaking gate. But of course no one came out. The house greeted the couple with boarded-up windows. Dylan stopped the car. "Well, here we are," he sighed, turning off the ignition. Silently, Tess got out and slammed the door. She gazed sadly at the house she hadn't visited in years. Everything exuded loneliness and hopelessness. No dogs barked, no roosters crowed, no sounds of axes or human voices could be heard. Tess timidly opened the gate, shivering at its unpleasant creak, and stepped into the yard overgrown with wormwood. Tears welled up in her eyes at the sight of the empty dog kennel. She walked carefully to the shutters and gently stroked the peeling blue paint. "Well, that's it," Dylan's voice sounded behind her. Tess turned to see her husband, placing the wheeled suitcases in front of the wooden porch. "Like it?" he sneered. "Now you can build a nest for the chickens." "Not for me. I'm heading back, Tess. Got to be up early for work." "Yeah, for work," Tess snorted. "Go wherever you want." "I left you some money in the suitcase. Cash. It should be enough to start. Then you're on your own." "You needn't have bothered," the woman grinned bitterly. "You've thrown me away like trash. I don't need your handouts." "Tess, stop it. I can't leave you here to starve. I'll bring groceries this weekend. There's some in the bag. You won't starve. Call if you need anything. We're still officially married. I'm not abandoning you, but be careful." "Dylan, just go. I don't need any of this. I can manage on my own. I have arms, legs, and a head. Not the best, but they're there." Dylan silently left through the gate, and a minute later, Tess heard the engine start, and in 2 more, there was no trace of Dylan's visit. The woman took out her keys and opened the door. The smell of mould and years of accumulated dust assaulted her nose. Her mother had died 5 years ago. It was then that Tess had symbolically hung this lock and hired men to board up the windows, believing she'd never return here. Strange rustling sounds came from the ceiling. Bats, Tess thought with a shudder. I was always terrified of them. Dad used to deal with them, and now it seems I'll have to. Later, though. Now, I just want to assess the scale of this disaster. I can't even face the garden yet. In the dark kitchen, Tess fumbled for the light switch. It didn't work out. Groaning, she went to the electrical panel in the pantry. After some clicking, she finally got what she wanted, but a light bulb flashed briefly, then clicked and went out. Burned out. Tess returned to the kitchen. This time, the lamp was lit here, casting a dim glow over the shabby surroundings. In the corner stood a gas stove. Next to it, like a harsh monolith, stood an empty old refrigerator. The table was strewn with rags and newspapers. Tess couldn't recall leaving such items here. She stepped into the living room, the floorboards creaking beneath her feet. The furnishings were equally dismal and darkened. 2 sofas covered with faded, yet still colourful patchwork quilts were topped with a multitude of pillows. An old sideboard held sullen dishes and a single shelf of books. In the corner there was a TV set that had seen better days, its antenna horns protruding awkwardly. Suddenly there were 2 sharp sounds, from which startled Tess, causing her to jump and press her hands to her chest, as if to keep her heart from bursting out. The clock! She sighed with relief as the sound repeated. 2 o'clock, wow! Who'd have thought they were still ticking? How is that possible? Tess glanced at her phone screen. The electronic display showed only 7 minutes past 1. Uh-huh, she laughed. Is that how you're greeting me? Did you recognize me, dear ones? Yes, your Tess is back, and now we'll stay together. Oh, you're so dusty and overgrown with cobwebs. Well then, I'll have to tidy up a bit. But first, I need a crowbar. Tess sighed heavily and headed to the barn, knowing where her father always kept his tools. She pulled back the latch on the small door and shone her flashlight inside. A crowbar gleamed in the corner. She grabbed it and went outside. The fresh air, warmed by the June sun and laden with humidity, immediately hit her nostrils, bringing the scent of freshly cut grass from the main settlement. Tess instantly felt the contrast with the stale air that had accumulated in the house. Clutching the crowbar tightly, she approached the windows. The first board from the boarded-up windows came off easily, showering her with splinters and dust. The others were more difficult, but Tess managed. However, the second window wouldn't budge at all. Damn you, she swore inwardly, dropping the crowbar in frustration. Hi! A voice suddenly called out from behind, making Tess shudder and turn around. What are you doing, looting? A tall man of about 45, dressed in a bright plaid shirt and jeans, stood near the gate. What makes you think that? She retorted, blowing a strand of sweat-dampened hair from her forehead. Well, what else am I supposed to think? The stranger grinned. You're standing here with a crowbar, breaking windows. Obviously trying to get in, aren't you? Yeah, and I suppose the open door doesn't explain everything to you at all, huh? Tess grimaced. By the way, shouldn't I be the one asking what you're doing on my property, barging in so easily? Oh, right. The man scratched the back of his head. Forgive me, I was just passing by and heard some noise. I thought someone might be breaking in. This place has been abandoned for a long time, and nobody comes around these parts. I assumed it was some hooligans trying to loot the place. So this is your house, then? It is, Tess nodded. Did you buy it or something? The stranger inquired. And did you come here with your family, or are you alone? You're too curious, Tess exclaimed. But no, I didn't buy it. I've returned to my ancestral home, so to speak, and I'm here alone, planning to restore the property. Wow, the man whistled. Do you think you can manage it? The house looks sturdy, but it's clearly been uninhabited for a while. I'm not sure a frail young lady could handle it on her own. Tess snorted. Whether I can manage or not, I'll have to. There's no other choice. I'll rebuild slowly. Where else can I go?" "I see," the man said, raising his hands in a conciliatory gesture. "I'm Garrett, by the way. I live nearby. Would you like to come over for a visit?" "Tess," she replied, softening her tone. "Thank you for the invitation, but I don't have time for visits. As you can see, I have a lot of work to do. Currently, I need to remove these boards because it's dark inside and there's an issue with the lighting." "Let me help you then," Garrett offered. "I'm sorry I didn't offer sooner. I was taken aback by your presence. What kind of man would I be if I didn't assist?" Garrett swiftly approached Tess and picked up the crowbar from the ground. With a few practiced movements, he removed all the boards from the windows. "Are there more?" he asked, sniffing. "Let me take them all off for you. It's not a small house, after all." "I don't want to trouble a stranger who's going about his business." "What business?" Gareth laughed. "I was just out for a walk, and to be honest, I came here with an ulterior motive." "Here? You?" Tess was surprised. "Well, yes," Garrett said, embarrassed. A blush appeared on his stubbly cheeks, which Tess found quite endearing. It made the man look like a teenager caught in something embarrassing. "Your garden is overgrown with raspberries. I only have a gazebo and a barbecue at my place, so I come here to sneak raspberries. The berries are just ripe now. I've just arrived and came straight here. I confess I've been doing this for years. Your gate was unlocked, so I let myself in. The first time was an accident. I've always been drawn to abandoned houses like this. I wouldn't go inside. I can see the lock and the shutters are boarded up, so it's not worth it. Some people just abandon their houses, so I explore. It can be fascinating, you know, to look at an abandoned home that was once someone's cosy haven. You can't imagine what you can find sometimes, especially photographs, old clocks, household items, kitchen utensils. I'm genuinely interested in all this. I hope I don't seem strange to you." "You don't live here, but only visit?" Tess looked at the man carefully. "Yes, I allow myself to come for a month once a year. I'm from the city, where the work is stressful, and I'm tired of all these resorts. I had a hard time with my ex-wife. She's the one who wanted expensive vacations. I'm a simple guy, drawn to nature. My great-grandfather lived in this village. My grandfather was born here. I visited as a child, but rarely. Then, growing up, you know, I wanted to buy a plot of land, and I noticed that there was land selling in this village. Well, I quickly got ready, bought the builders, and they quickly made a house for me. I wanted a log cabin like my grandfather had. That hut has been gone for 30 years. It burned down. But I built mine, of course, using more modern technologies. Come and visit me. I'll show you everything." "But Tess tried to remind him again about her pile of things to do. I remember. But Tess, work isn't a wolf. It won't run away into the forest. You can't plant the garden this year anyway, and it's better to clear everything in the fall. If you need, I can help you with equipment. You can't uproot it all by yourself. But it's a pity about the raspberries. You have delicious berries here. If I were you, I'd pick more and make jam. As for the house, you can't fix it in a couple of days anyway. You need rest too. I just arrived yesterday. I don't have much work to do, but I can help you if you'll accept my offer. And don't think you'll inconvenience me. I like to work with my hands. I work with my head all day long in the office, signing papers. It's maddening. And in my own house, there's nothing to do. All I do all day is chop wood and heat the sauna." "Do you live alone?" "It's my little secret passion. Last year and the year before, we came with my daughter, but she didn't like it. What do you expect? She's 21-year-old, and like her mother, she wants to go to resorts. Although now she's more focused on her studies, but she won't come here on vacation with me anymore. So I'm here alone, and I'm bored. Well, not really alone." "Not really?" Tess asked. "I'm here with Russell. He's my friend, confidant, whatever you want to call it. I have no one dearer to me than him now. However, today he took offence and flatly refused to go with me to eat raspberries. I guess he felt he'd have to embarrass himself in front of the mistress of this house. I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Who's Russell? That's my dog. Garrett laughed. He's really cool. A Shiba Inu breed. You know them, maybe? Tess nodded happily. I'd know. I've been asking my husband for years to get one. Our neighbours are breeders. Oh, so you're married? Garrett asked, embarrassed. Tess stammered. Yes and no. What do you mean? Divorced. That's why I came here. My husband kicked me out and brought me here himself. Why did he do that? The man's eyes widened. Have you offended him so much? It would take me a long time to tell you all this, and why should you care? To put it simply, we didn't see eye to eye. That's after 12 years of marriage. We have no children. I let myself be only a housewife, stopped being attractive, and he found a more successful and beautiful woman. That's the whole story. It can't be like that. Garrett looked at Tess closely. I don't see that you stopped being attractive. You're a charming woman. Yes, you look a little tired, but that's all fixable. The air here will do you good. You won't recognise yourself tomorrow. Don't flatter me, Garrett. Tess waved away languidly, blushing like a garden raspberry. Better the bitter truth than a sweet lie. And I never lie to Tess. Honestly, I even got divorced because of it. My wife got tired of listening to the truth and ran away from me, taking half of our joint property. She left me a daughter, though, thank God, already grown up. Is that so? So we're kind of unfortunate companions. What's unfortunate? I think it's quite the opposite. Is it happiness to live with a person for whom you no longer mean anything? As far as I'm concerned, divorce is a ticket to a new, happy life. When I got divorced, I even breathed more freely and found time for my interests. I got a dog. My wife didn't agree with that either. She said the house would be dirty and I wouldn't be able to travel anywhere. Ironically, she made 1,000 times more mess. Our housekeeper hardly had time to clean up after her. At least our daughter Piper wasn't like that. She's a perfectionist. She can't stand dust and mess. It makes the village a living hell for her. By the way, don't you have children? No, sighed Tess. I wanted to, but my husband didn't. Then somehow we stopped talking about it altogether. And now it's strange to talk about it at all. I haven't got a husband, have I? Well, let's change the subject. Let's. Tess, maybe I'll help you with something else now, and you can feed me raspberries later, so I don't leave empty-handed. There's nothing to help with. At least I'll get your things into the house. It's not a small bag, you can't carry it yourself. Women shouldn't lift heavy things. Tess looked at the man sceptically. I should clean up the place first. There's a metre-long layer of dust in the house. It's too early to drag things in. Let me get you some water to mop the floors then. Come on, I'll get buckets. The well is over there. For several hours, Tess and Garrett cleaned the house, trying to make it look lived in. By evening, they succeeded. Tired but satisfied with their work, they sat down on the veranda. Tess, I'm going home now because Russell is probably going crazy without me. I'll come over tomorrow and see what needs fixing. I've got some tools. There's even something left in the shed from the construction days. Some plywood and paint, so you don't have to go shopping. Oh, that's great. I'd appreciate it. And thank you for all your help. You're welcome. Well, I'm off then. Call me if you need anything. Wait, what about the raspberries? Oh, that's right, I forgot. Tess quickly filled the big bowl with ripe berries. She handed it to Garrett and they said goodbye. It got dark quickly. Tess lay on her grandmother's bed. For some reason, she couldn't lie on her mother's bed, and her own bed was in a cluttered room in the part of the house she hadn't gotten to yet. The clock, which Tess had managed to run, struck 11. To this beat, the woman fell asleep. For the second week, Tess settled into her new home. Garrett came every day and helped restore the house. He brought with him a cheerful dog, who at the sight of Tess lost his head, fell on his back offering his white belly, and wagged his tail desperately. He liked Tess. Surprisingly, Garrett noted when the woman once again stroked Russell, sprawled in the middle of the yard. It's the first time I've seen him let a woman near him. Even Piper he doesn't love, and he won't let our housekeeper within 2 meters. When we walk, he only goes to dogs with male owners. I often have ladies who want to get acquainted with me, and he growls at them. To tell you the truth, I always thought Russell was a misogynist, but he liked you right away. It's mutual, Tess laughed. I love dogs so much. We used to have Bucky, a white husky. She died many years ago, but I still remember her. I persuaded Dylan to get a dog, but he flatly refused. I wish I wasn't bored at home alone. Also, my neighbours are breeders of the Shiba Inu breed. Their kennel is called Destiny Gift. You've probably heard of them since you're into the breed. Destiny Gift? Garrett was surprised. Well, here's a coincidence. Russell was their puppy. A subordinate of mine recommended this kennel. No way! Yes, Dylan was having an affair with the owner. He even managed to talk her into a discount. They wanted to sell Russell abroad, but when I saw him, or rather he saw me, we both realised we couldn't live without each other. Who's Dylan? A subordinate of mine, my commercial director to be precise. I've been talking about getting a pet for a long time, so he told me one day, my neighbour breeds great dogs, and led me to this kennel. That's weird. Weird what? That I wanted to get a dog for myself? No, Tess frowned. The whole thing about Dylan is strange. It's just that my husband's name is Dylan too, and the owner of the Destiny Gift lives in the next doorway, and my husband works as a commercial director in the Growth Lab. Wait, Garrett interrupted her. Growth Lab is my company. And your surname name isn't Pointer by any chance? Pointer. Tess turned pale. So you're Dylan's wife? Garrett's eyes bulged. That's... yes. Awkward. Wait, I mean he... It looks like he cheated on me with that dog lady. I couldn't even think about her. We used to talk so nicely all the time. Dylan, what a scoundrel. Tess, stop it. Cut him out of your life already. I don't care who he cheated on you with. You're not together anymore. What's the point of being angry and jealous now? I guess you're right, Tess thought to herself. To hell with both of them. Let them do what they want. It doesn't concern me anymore. Tess, tell me something else. Dylan never even brought you to corporate parties. I know all the employees' wives and husbands, while he said every time that his wife wasn't feeling well. We thought he was torturing you there, or you were bedridden, and he was embarrassed to admit it. Didn't you want to meet his co-workers? Or don't you like these kind of events? He didn't invite me, and then he told me he was ashamed to take me out in public because I wasn't fashionable and stunning enough. Is he completely crazy? Oh, Tess, you got off that ship just in time. Dylan always seemed like a sensible man to me. I never thought he'd treat his wife like that. With his colleagues from work, he was always so gallant, courteous. The girls from the accounting department make eyes at him. He's always adamant, but in reality, it turns out to be... Well, I'll give it to him. Garrett, don't. Why mix work and private life? So after 12 years of marriage, he just threw you out on the street. And you say, leave him alone? Let him realise that he can be kicked out too. Then he'll try to find a decent job. Garrett. Tess looked at him seriously. How is Dylan at work? For 8 years, he's had no complaints at all. Well, let him work. Why spoil his life? He's already punished himself, and God sees everything. I don't want to interfere in his life. Revenge is for the weak and unstable. In my opinion, it's wise to show him that I can be happy without his involvement. There, that's right. A woman like you is worth everything. Dylan is such an ass, I'm really amazed. Such a smart man, but in terms of personal life, he's a complete ignoramus. Let's not talk about him. Tess patted Garrett on the shoulder. Garrett, listen, we've done everything today. Maybe we'll go to the river? I haven't even had a swim since I arrived. There was this interesting place here. I used to go there as a kid. It was like a green gazebo with a green river flowing under a green canopy. The water's always warm and shallow, but I recently went to the spring and saw that there are houses built right along the shore. I'm afraid they've ruined the place. Well, look at this picture. Garrett rummaged through his phone. Is this the place? That's exactly it. Yes, it's changed a bit. But there's no doubt it's there. Did you really find it? And it's still there. It's wonderful. Come, let's go for a walk to your place, and at the same time, you'll come to visit me. Garrett winked, and Russell, as if sensing that his master was up to something, barked encouragingly. They walked along the winding path leading from Tess's house to the riverbank. The path went steeply downhill, and they had to cling to the tall grass to somehow hold on and not fall. Garrett laughed at the urgent barking of Russell, whose tail flickered in the grass. A very secluded place, I can't deny. It's not my fault, Tess excused herself. I haven't walked here for 20 years. It used to be more civilized. There used to be wooden railings and steps cut directly into the ground. Now it's all overgrown. And what's this? Tess's gaze, which had already managed to go downstairs, where the path smoothly rolled into a cobblestone-paved area, stopped on a fence, almost completely hidden by dense foliage. Garrett, there is a fence here, she said with disappointment in her voice. Garrett wrinkled his nose. Let's climb over? What are you doing? This is private property. Somebody must have bought this plot and fenced it off. How did you get there? Did you climb over? You look like a decent man. No, there's a gate nearby. You can get in through it. Though I usually go on the other way. Am I right, Russell? The dog barked happily. Garrett, we can't do this. Even if no one's here, we're trespassing. What if the owners see us? This is embarrassing. Adults with a dog splashing in the river on someone's property. Tess, why so serious? Don't you have any sense of adventure? I'm telling you, no one's there. Even if there is, I'll take full responsibility. Don't worry. We've come this far, so let's just look around. If you don't like it, we'll leave and go straight to my place. All right, Tess reluctantly agreed, scanning the coastal bushes as if searching for an armed guard. Didn't you say there was a gate here? Yes, over there, look. Garrett disappeared into the vegetation. Tess quickly followed. It's locked, she muttered unhappily. Garrett, that's a sign. Let's go back. No, we've come too far to turn back now, and we'll be going around this fenced area until night. That's it. We're going over the fence. Without waiting for Tess's reply, the man deftly climbed to the lattice and jumped to the ground on the other side. Tess looked at him, confused. I don't know how to do that. Oh, come on. You grew up in the countryside, and you don't know how to climb fences? Yes, but what about Russell? Russell? Oh, he's already ahead of us. Unlike you, he's already swimming. Come on. Why are you hesitating? When I think of you breaking off boards from your windows, I wonder if you've been switched with someone else. I never thought you were such a coward. Tess realized Garrett was deliberately provoking her, but her pride had already taken over. She resolutely put her foot on the gate and grabbed the top edge of it. In 5 seconds, she was standing next to Garrett, brushing sticky leaves off her skirt. That's more like it. The man patted her shoulder. Because you were standing like a shy first grader. Well, shall we go swim? They followed the narrow, stone-paved path deep into the thicket, and soon the dark but clear water appeared before their eyes. Dragonflies fluttered over tall grass along the shore, grasshoppers chirped nearby, and birds sang in the willow branches, arching over the water. It's wonderful here, Tess whispered. Look, The bridge is newly built, and you can see the place is well maintained. Everything was different in my childhood, but this is definitely my favourite place."
"Why are you whispering?" Garrett laughed loudly.
"Shush!" Tess looked at him pleadingly. "Someone might hear us. Look, there's a boat. Clearly people use this place now. Oh my God, look, Russell's over there." Hearing his name, the dog barked loudly. Tess turned pale. From somewhere came a noise. Someone was coming down to them. "Quick, into the bushes!" Tess squeaked and was about to dive for cover, but Garrett grabbed her and held her tight.
"Who's there?"
came a hoarse male voice.
"Oh, Russell, is that you?"
An old man emerged from the thicket, and the dog immediately ran to him, wagging its tail and bouncing playfully.
"Mr. Rhines," Garrett called out.
"It's me, don't be alarmed."
"Oh, Garrett, is that you? I heard barking and thought a stray had got in. Why didn't you come through the front door? How did you slip past me? I hope you didn't swim across from the other shore. It's very dangerous."
Tess stood bewildered, looking from Garrett to the old man.
"Oh, I see you're not alone. Then I won't bother you,"
Mr. Rhines said, and left, taking the cheerful Russell with him. "Will you explain what's going on?" Tess looked at Garrett suspiciously.
"What's to explain?"
The man smiled, releasing Tess from his embrace.
"That's my caretaker, Mr. Rhines. My grandfather's old comrade in arms. When he learned I was building a house here, he asked to look after it in my absence. He lives here in the guest house. He's a fascinating old fellow, a veteran, a retired colonel or something. I'm not sure about the exact terminology."
"That's not what I mean, Garrett."
"What then?" "Well, this property is mine. My house is up there. I bought this plot because of this spot on the river. I fell in love with it at first sight. Yes, it was overgrown. And by the way, you weren't the only one who swam here as a child. I discovered it before you did. We cleared it all out and fenced it off to keep intruders out. Mainly stray dogs. And so—"
"Why didn't you tell me right away?" Tess tapped him lightly on the chest with her fist. "Was it pleasant to mock me? To watch me shake with fear?"
"Tess, don't be angry. I decided to play a trick on you. Let's go for a swim. The water is wonderful."
"All right, I'll do it." Tess threw off her sundress, under which she had earlier put on a swimsuit, and barefoot walked along the bridge. Cautiously testing the water with her foot, she jumped into the river and enthusiastically shouted. The water pleasantly cooled her sun-heated skin. Such bliss the woman hadn't experienced in a long time. All her problems immediately evaporated. Dylan, with his cheating and divorce, her regret about wasted years, and the old house cracking at all seams, all forgotten. There was only her and the river flowing leisurely in its corridor of trees. Garrett caught up with her quickly. With a light breaststroke, he was splashing through the clear water. They frolicked for a long time, laughing with immense happiness. The man now and then doused her with a fountain of splashes, and then, to Tess's great surprise, tightly pressed her to himself and kissed her. Really, with such passion and tenderness that Tess felt dizzy. Everything around mixed in a whirlpool of splashes, drops, and sun bunnies skipping through the dense foliage, accompanied by birdsong. Tess was lying on the soft cushions that covered the wide sofa of the gazebo, pressing her head against Garrett's shoulder. Nearby, a cricket chirped. Wood crackled in the brazier, casting fairy-tale glints and shadows on the ivy-coloured gazebo. "Tess," the man said, kissing her forehead, "I'm leaving tomorrow. Business can't wait. It's been a month. I didn't realise it would be so soon." "Okay," Tess replied with a deep sigh. Her heart was pounding desperately. She had spent a whole month in the company of this wonderful, kind and soulful man. Now she realised that he was leaving her alone, taking away those joyful hours he had given her. She would be left alone with an old house, an overgrown vegetable garden, and in complete confusion about where to go next. "Why are you so serious and upset?" Gareth playfully inquired. No reason.
No, come on, tell me.
There's nothing to tell, the woman dismissed, lifting herself up. That was it. The fairy tale is over. Cinderella is left alone with her pumpkin, and the prince has gone away on his white horse.
You have no pumpkin, laughed Garrett. Only raspberries in your garden, though they are delicious. And the prince's horse is not white, but black.
Garrett, stop it. You know exactly what I mean.
No, I don't. Confess. Come on, Cinderella.
Garrett, we've only known each other a month, and it was so good that I let myself relax and dream up many things. But now you're leaving and coming back next year, and I'll be here alone. And instead of crystal shoes, I'll have felt boots in winter and galoshes in summer.
Then don't stay here. I can see that country life is not your thing. It's one thing to eat raspberries and swim, and another to live here. No, I don't doubt you at all. You have enough zeal and energy to raise the whole village. But even though you were born in the village, you were made for something else. What do you dream of?
Me? Tess looked at him confused.
What I dream of, I know, laughed the man.
Yes, I'd like to know about your dream. I don't have any dream, Tess sighed gloomily. I used to think that I dreamed of a strong family, 2 or 3 children, but now I don't even have one. And my husband left. My dream fell apart. Now you're here, but I realise it's not serious. I used to dream of being a florist. I liked the way they make compositions, matching flowers to one another, creating real masterpieces. But Dylan suppressed all this at the root, said that it's a whim, a hobby for schoolgirls.
Would you like to do it now?
Who needs these bouquets in the village? They're only made of weeds, except after weeding. And who's talking about the village? Garrett sat up straight.
I'm asking you, do you want to or not?
Of course I want to. Tess's eyes lit up. As they say, it's not harmful to dream. It's harmful not to dream. Garrett took her hand.
Tess, come with me.
Where to?
The stunned woman looked at him.
To the city, where else? What am I supposed to do there? I only need to get the divorce certificate there, and then I'll return here. While I have money, I need to buy firewood for the winter. Then it'll be fall. I'll clean out the garden, prepare it for the season. Tess, you don't understand. Garrett looked the woman in the eye. I'm inviting you to my place, to live with me. What do you mean? Tess frowned. Don't pretend, the man smiled. You know perfectly well what I mean. Tess, we're not children anymore. We don't need a long courtship. I like you very much as a woman and as a person. I feel it's mutual. Why drag it out? You're alone. I'm alone. We can be together. That's all there is to it. Together? Tess was surprised. Wait, are you seriously offering me a relationship now?
Don't you want it?
I'm rarely wrong about people, and I think you like me. If that's the case, I don't see any obstacles. I'd hate to leave you here. I'm getting used to you. Seeing each other once a year? That's silly. You've got nothing keeping you here. You haven't even bought chickens, dog or cat yet. So why don't you just drop everything and come back with me? I'm not forcing you. If you say no, I understand. Yes, I have a dog and a daughter, but Russell loves you. And Piper? I think she'll like you too. She's hardly ever home. If you two have a conflict, I'll get my daughter her own place. Besides, she'll probably prefer that to spending time with her old dad. Her old dad, laughed Tess, blushing. I don't even know what to say, Garrett. This is very unexpected. We've only known each other for a month. It's not appropriate to just suddenly start living together.
What's wrong with it? Don't you believe in love at first sight?
I thought that's what all women dreamed of. Well, not at first sight, but at second sight.
Aha!
The man didn't let her finish, grabbing Tess's hands childishly.
So, you love me?
Garrett, she laughed.
Why do you ask? I may love you, but... Tess, there can't be any buts. Do you love me? If you do, come with me. I've been burned many times in my life and even shut myself off from people to some extent. But as soon as I saw you... Right away? How could I not? You should have seen yourself with that crowbar in your hands, standing there, all red, sweaty, angry, but determined to take the most decisive action. And that's the woman of your dreams, laughed Tess. Most people would run away from someone like that, or risk getting hurt. Well, Tess, as they say, to each their own. So, will you come with me? I will, Tess answered after a moment's thought. If you're really not kidding, then I'll go with you to the ends of the earth. Are you going to take the florist course? What? I said, are you going to take the course? Yes, I understand. Tess didn't let him finish. Of course I'll go. I have just enough money that Dylan left. It should cover the training. That's great. Garrett hugged the woman tightly. Dreams must be fulfilled, or we'll die unsatisfied and full of regrets. Garrett, Tess asked timidly, what's your dream? It has just come true, laughed the man. I once wished on a falling star to meet a wife with whom I could live all my life without knowing sorrow. Garrett, Tess slapped his chest with her palm. Don't joke like that. I'm serious, Tess. You're my truest dream, and I'll never give you any reason for offence. Do you believe in fate? I don't know. I do. I may be a concrete and serious person, but I'm a romantic to the core, and I believe everything in the world happens for a reason. I thought about not coming this year because I had a lot to do, but at the last moment I changed my mind. I felt something important was waiting for me here, something my future fate depends on. And you see, I wasn't mistaken. A year passed. Are you ready? Garrett looked into his wife's bedroom. Tess stood in front of the mirror, trying to put a graceful earring in her ear. She wore a beautiful floor-length evening dress that spectacularly showed off her slender figure. Yes, my love, just a minute. I can't get it in. Let me help you. Garrett was immediately beside Tess and put the earring on her in a couple of seconds. You're adorable. Tess, are you sure you want to go? Yes, the woman answered without hesitation. I feel like I have to, and I'd like to see his face. I agree. Garrett smiled and gently kissed his wife. The car glided along the evening highway toward the restaurant. Pulling into the parking lot, Garrett turned off the engine and once again gazed admiringly at his wife. Tess, you're my beauty. Now everyone will be jealous. Let them be jealous, smiled the woman. But envy is a bad quality. They got out of the car and headed towards the entrance of the restaurant. People were crowding near it. Many, seeing Garrett, said hello and shook hands. Tess's appearance attracted attention. A tall, spectacular brunette in an expensive dress with high heels. But most of all, her smile attracted attention. It was immediately clear that before you stood the happiest woman on earth. Inside, music was playing. A small string orchestra played modern melodies in the manner of symphonies. Waiters scurried between tables, serving all sorts of dishes to the guests. Yeah, he spent a lot of money, Garrett whistled. And they say a 40th anniversary isn't customary to celebrate. I did, but in a quiet family circle. They say superstition is a sign of weakness. I just don't understand why you have to spend so much money on an anniversary. It's like he's trying to show off. Well, probably he has nowhere to put his money anyway, sighed Tess. He lives alone. The kennel mistress left him 6 months ago. I guess he's trying to cheer himself up. Let him have fun. Is it a pity? Well, yes. It's just that I've always been amazed that people waste money so easily on idle amusements. I've always made good money, but I'm used to spending it only on necessities. I'm even more surprised that Dylan was so stingy with you. You deserve the best. Oh, there he is. Don't turn around yet. Garrett, how glad I am to see you, Dylan said, approaching them with almost open arms. And you've brought your wife? I'm overjoyed she managed to get out, because this woman is a mystery to all of us. There are so many rumours. Will you introduce us?
We already know each other, Tess replied, smiling broadly and turning to her ex-husband. Happy birthday, Dylan. Here, accept our present for you. Tess handed the surprised Dylan a small decorated box. Why are you frozen like a stranger? She continued, realizing that the man was paralyzed. Tess, you? Have I really changed that much in a year? Laughed the woman. But Tess is my spouse now. Let's leave everything on your mind in the past. Garrett patted him on the shoulder. And Dylan, Tess interrupted her husband, I want to congratulate you with all my heart on your anniversary, whatever it may be. May everything work out well for you, and I wish you to find a worthy woman who can make you true. I want to eat. I have such an appetite. You can't imagine how hungry a pregnant woman can be. Tess took her husband under her arm and headed towards their table, and Dylan remained standing with his mouth open, holding a beautiful box in his hands.